Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and today I'm going to be remaking one of the most important guides on my entire channel. My goal for this is to be the ultimate price checking guide for PokeMMO. Now, price checking can be very simple, it can be very complicated, and everyone needs to understand it. One of the best money making methods in PokeMMO will always be selling Pokemon. So understanding how to price those Pokemon appropriately to get them to sell in a decent amount of time is crucially important. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll do my best to explain my process. First things first, let's cover the basics. The most important question you have to ask yourself when trying to sell a Pokemon is, why would someone want to buy this Pokemon specifically? Understanding the reason or purpose that someone is going to use your Pokemon for is really important. Understanding whether they're going to use it for breeding, for competitive play, for shiny hunting, for utility, for casual play, for PVM, PvP. There's so many different uses and reasons to buy a Pokemon, and understanding why someone wants your specific Pokemon is really important. There's no quick and easy way to understanding this. It really just comes with a lot of time and practice, but I hope I can explain it in a little more detail with all of my examples shown here today. Now, from this point on, I'm essentially just going to go through some basic price checks and show you guys what the process is like. The different types of price checks we'll be covering today are what I call desired species 1x31, egg group 1x31, 2x31 egg group, noted stats being 20 to 25 plus and multiple different needed stats, base price egg groups, semi-competitive Pokemon, and a competitive Pokemon. There should be timestamps for this video if you're looking for a specific type of price check. Alright, but let's cover the first one. This is desired species, or essentially base price desired species. What desired species or base price desired species means is essentially a species of Pokemon. So for example, Chansey, that is pretty rare, pretty difficult to catch, and is also super desired, and people need a lot of them, usually for competitive reasoning. So we can go ahead and check the GTL, open it up, go to Chansey, sort by lowest price, and see that the cheapest Chansey available on the GTL is going to be around 6K. There are certain Pokemon you always want to price check in this regard, and they'll have a decent base price. A lot of times when you mass farm Pokemon, you'll just end up releasing or throwing away or getting rid of the excess Pokemon, but something like Chansey or Gible, these Pokemon that are really needed in competitive play, really desired for casual and PvP purposes, will have a really nice base price, so it's important to check that before just releasing those Pokemon. Once again, it's really hard to tell whether a Pokemon is desired or not just based off of checking something. It really requires a lot of patience and experience. But the quickest way, kind of a cop-out, would be to go to the PvP statistics page by clicking the PvP icon, matchmaking sign up, and then statistics. And then essentially the top 10 Pokemon or so in each kind of tier will usually have a decent base price. This is just a quick general rule and will not always be the case. The second type of price check I want to cover is desired species 1x31. Desired species 1x31 is a desired Pokemon that also has a relevant IV in relation to the stats it needs. What all of that boils down to is the fact that Gible is a very desired Pokemon. Garchomp, as we saw, is the most played Pokemon in all of PokeMMO, in all of OU, and he is a physical attacker. So a Gible with 31 attack IV is a desired species with a desired IV on it, a desired stat. So the way that we would price check this would be to go to the Pokemon listings, searching for Gible, sorting by lowest price, and then going and putting in that 1x31 attack IV. Most price checking in PokeMMO is done by reverse searching on the advanced search. So you essentially see what everyone else is listing their Pokemon for and try to find an accurate price based off of this. Now, a lot of people might see this and think, wow, that's worth 30K, but there are a lot of factors into price checking your Pokemon, and a very important factor here is that the Gible is actually female, which bumps up the price a fair bit. Now, the reason that Gible is female is relevant is because in the breeding process in Pokemon, the female species of a breed decides the species. So for example, if you were to breed a female Gible with a male Whismur who's in the monster egg group, the Pokemon would come out as a Gible and not as a Whismur. That is very important. Obviously, Gible is a very desired Pokemon. Whismur is a very not desired Pokemon. Apologies to the Whismur fans. So since this Gible is female, I would actually personally go ahead and list this for around 40 to 45K. Alright, the next price check I'm going to be covering is egg group 1x31. Ed group 1x31 is very similar to desired species 1x31 and is probably the most common type of Pokemon you'll be selling. The difference between the two is that the 1x31 is either in an IV spot that doesn't help that species at all, or the species is super undesired. So for example, Doduo. Dodrio is not a very wanted Pokemon. Casual players and PvP players alike aren't exactly jumping over fences for Dodrios. Once again, apologies to Dodrio fans if you exist. So the way we would price check something like this would be to go to the Pokedex entry and check the Ed group. So we can see that Doduo is in the Flying Ed group, it's male, and has a 31 HP IV. We would then take all of that newfound information over to the GTL, enter the advanced search, go to the Ed group, enter Flying, type in 31 HP, change the gender to male, and then search that and sort by lowest price, and we'll see that we should be able to sell this Doduo for around 7K, maybe 7,500 if we're a little patient. Understanding whether you want to quick sell something or stretch out every little bit of Pokeyen out of a Pokemon is also super important. How fast do you need the Pokemon? Do you really need it this fast? How much is 500 Pokeyen going to impact your balance and your capital? Do you really need it? Can you wait a day or two to sell it for 7,500 Pokeyen, or do you want to sell it right now for 6,999? Well, does it really matter? Factoring those things in is super important when selling anything. The next thing we're going to cover is Ed Group 2x31, and what better way to do that than with a Magikarp, one of the most farmed Pokemon in all of PokeMMO, because Magikarp is actually in the Dragon Ed Group, despite obviously Gyarados not being a Dragon-type Pokemon. So with that information, we're going to take that this Magikarp is Dragon Ed Group, 31 attack, 31 speed, and we can also check the Water B Ed Group, because if you're very acute, you might have noticed that he actually is in 2 different Ed Groups. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to change the IV to attack 31 and 31 for speed, and then change the gender to male, and then I'm going to check the Dragon Ed group first, sort by lowest price. We can see that it's around 40k, and then I will actually also check the Water B Ed group. It's important to check both because sometimes one Ed group might be selling for much more than the other, like 5 to 10k difference. So if you're looking to get that extra mile, every single inch of Pokeyen out of a Pokemon, it's important to check for both different Ed groups. Now obviously not every Pokemon is into Ed groups, so this might not always apply. But after these 2 searches, I feel pretty comfortable selling this Magikarp for around 39,998 Pokeyen just to undercut the competition. Now the next price check type I want to talk about is noted Pokemon. So noted Pokemon are what I consider Pokemon to have 20 to 25 plus in very notable stats. They're either somewhat close or very close to being bred into being a competitive Pokemon. Pretty much all of the Pokemon we've covered so far would be bought to be used for breeding, which is super important to understand, aside from maybe desired species, which might be bought for some casual play. But this Cranidos ends up being the perfect example for a noted Pokemon. Now, this Cranidos is actually almost a competitive or semi-competitive Pokemon, but the nature brutalizes it. The nature makes it unusable. Modest is a totally hurtful, unusable nature for Cranidos, so this Cranidos has to be rebred to be used in competitive play. So that's how you rule out that it's not a semi-comp. Now, this thing has 25 plus IVs in every single stat that Cranidos needs. Cranidos is a physical attacker, so it has everything except for special attack, which is perfect. So very powerful IV Pokemon here. Now price checking something like this definitely gets complicated, and I will show you guys my best on how to do so. Cranidos is also a tricky one because it is a somewhat desired competitive Pokemon, but mostly for niche players. I myself am a huge fan of Rampardos, but if I'm being totally honest, most people aren't jumping head over heels for Rampardos. So I'm going to go ahead and check this by Ed group for this example, but you could argue that I should be checking this by species, and that's totally fair. Let's go ahead and change the Ed group to monster, change the gender to male, and then I have a couple different checkpoints. So essentially the way I do this is by adjusting the IV benchmarks is what I'll call them. So for example, instead of putting 28, 26, 29, like putting, the exact IVs down, that's going to come out with a very skewed, incorrect, and inaccurate price check because there's not enough Pokemon in existence to have a perfect comparison and a perfect example to price check this Pokemon. So what I do is I do 25 plus, all the way down and all the stats that it has, and then I'll sort that by lowest price and see if there's a comparable Pokemon. This is a pretty comparable Cranidos. It does have 131 IV, which is super important, similar to the Snorlax. So these each have a singular 31 IV, which instantly makes them better than my Cranidos. So I have to actually lower my price of my Cranidos based on this information. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is a tough example. I'm going to go ahead and lower my attack down a little bit to 20 and check some other options. Now, we can see that this Slowpoke is pretty good, but still not super comparable with my Cranidos. This Nidoking is pretty good, a 1x31, but then the low attack IV. It looks like we're gonna have to make a judgment call on this Cranidos, which is definitely tough for the video, but it's honestly very realistic. So hopefully this will give you guys an accurate representation of what price checking is like. You're not always gonna have a 100% accurate price check. Pokemon are just too volatile, too different, too unique. You're gonna have to make judgment calls. Now, a judgment call is essentially just your best guess. It's taking all of your information you know about the game, all of your information you know about the Pokemon, and just giving it a price. So, for example, I feel pretty comfortable listing this Cranidos for around 45k. I'm essentially knocking around 20k off of this one. Now, honestly, I probably could get a little more for it, maybe 50 to 55k, but this is once again a judgment call and down to personal preference, how long you want to wait, etc., etc. I'm also taking into account that I actually sniped this Cranidos for around 3k Pokeyen off the GTL, so I'm pretty comfortable selling it for around 45k, maybe losing around 10k in total profits. I could, sell it for a little longer, but I'm happy with that flip overall. Alright, but that pretty much covers it for noted Pokemon. Now, I did want to spend a decent amount of time on that because I feel like a lot of the Pokemon you'll be selling are noted Pokemon, and they also might be one of the most complicated price checked. So hopefully that was fulfilling. But if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below, or you can join my Discord and actually check out the hashtag price checking chat channel. Now, the goal of this video is to explain my process and teach you guys that process on how to price check. So please don't ask for price checks in that channel without trying on your own and trying to gather the process. My goal is to teach people the process, not essentially give them price checks on every single Pokemon they ever want to sell. But sometimes price checks do get really complicated, and sometimes a lot of experience is needed, so please do feel free to go ahead and post price checks in there if you have any questions. Alright, we now have a new batch of Pokemon to price check here, different types of price check Pokemon. Let's go ahead and cover them. This one is going to be a really simple one, base price egg groups. So base price egg group usually refers to male Pokemon only of a specific egg group that people use to breed for shiny Pokemon. So if you don't know, for certain Pokemon, you need to mass breed them in order to get their shiny, and that's essentially the best method to hunt them. And that ends up coming into play when selling your Pokemon, because when someone else needs 30,000 of another type of Pokemon to breed over and over and over again to get a shiny, obviously that's going to drive the demand up, and that's going to be able to sell for a decent price. So a good example of this is Shroomish. Shroomish is in the fairy egg group, similar to Chansey, and Chansey is a very hunted shiny Pokemon, and the best way to hunt for shiny Chansey is not in the Safari Zone as a very rare encounter, it's to breed it over and over and over and over and over again. And a really cool thing about Chansey is that Chansey is a female-only species, so it needs male fairy egg group Pokemon to breed with over and over and over again. So whenever someone wants to breed a shiny Chansey, they're gonna have to buy around 30,000 male fairy egg group Pokemon on average. So this is going to drive the price up. So the most price you'll see most of the time on a base price egg group is around 3k. So it's not like the craziest thing in the world, but let's say, you farm a certain type of Pokemon. Like recently I farmed Pikachu, and I was able to catch like 40 to 50 or so Pikachu in 1 hour, I believe. So when you're catching that many Pikachu, instead of releasing all of the other etc. Pikachu, you can sell each male Pikachu for around 3k a piece. That adds a ton onto the profit. This is probably one of the most overlooked things when catching and farming and trying to make money from Pokemon. This can make you so much extra Pokeyen, and I just encourage you to check the base price of the egg groups of the Pokemon that you're currently farming. But that pretty much covers it. So essentially what this means is a Shroomish with no IVs, no relevant stats, nothing going on, etc., as long as it's male, will always sell for around 3k. So a super nice, good example of a base priced egg group. Some other examples might include like the flying type, Just kidding. I know the monster type egg group is a good example, sometimes going for around 2,500, 3K. This one's pretty underpriced. I'll actually go ahead and buy that up. But yeah, around 2,500 for monster price egg group. There are some other good examples here and there you might be able to see. Let's check the plant and bug. Yeah, plants go for around 3K on average. You'll always see people underlisting them for a little bit, and then they'll get bought up pretty quickly. These are definitely something that can take a little bit to sell sometimes. Humanoid not looking so hot. Essentially, just play around. You guys can check this out. Check out the just going through and checking out the male gender, and then going through each egg group can be a really good way to check things out and learn about the PokeMMO economy. Alright, now we only have 2 more types of price checks that I want to cover, so we're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. The next one is going to be a semi-competitive Pokemon. So what I would consider a semi-competitive Pokemon is a Pokemon that has around 20 plus in all of the stats that it needs, but it doesn't really have any of those crucial 31s. A lot of Pokemon need 31 speed to be really relevant and really competitive because speed is obviously super important. It's kind of just lacking the perfect kind of important metrics and important benchmarks, but it's still usable. And semi-competitive Pokemon are really important for new players or veteran players alike. So people will buy semi-competitive Pokemon, myself included, either to test a specific Pokemon, seeing if that Pokemon is synergistic and works in your team, you know, spending only 50 to 100k on a semi-competitive Pokemon to test that versus spending around 3 to 500k and, you know, it not working. It's a really safe way to test how things kind of work and how the team chemistry is. They're also super used by new players as a way to get into competitive Pokemon. There is a pretty high barrier to entry into getting into competitive Pokemon in PokeMMO. Having a full team of competitive Pokemon is really expensive and can take a long time to grind up to. But a full team of semi-comp Pokemon is much faster and much easier to get to. So if you're not sure if you like competitive play or not, I recommend building a semi-competitive team. It'll be decent enough, you'll perform well enough, and the games will most of the time still come down to like your skill level, and you'll still be able to practice, see what the meta is, and see if you really enjoy PokeMMO PvP. So now that we understand the use of semi-competitive Pokemon, let's go ahead and figure out how to price check one. So semi-competitive Pokemon are usually EV trained. They usually have a decent usable nature. For example, this Altaria is calm, which is quite good because the strategy of this Altaria is to have a high special defense. It's a bulky Altaria, high special defense, high HP, and then using Cotton Guard to make up your defenses. So you end up being bulky all around. Let's go ahead and open up the GTL and we'll start price checking this bad boy. Okay, when price checking a semi-competitive Pokemon, you pretty much always want to do it by species. Now, sometimes the species of the semi-competitive Pokemon will be so utterly useless and no one will want that Pokemon in competitive form, so you do end up having to sell it as a noted Pokemon or as an egg group Pokemon, but then you're not really selling it as a semi-comp, so it's important to take note. But let's go ahead and look up Altaria, and let's put in 20, we're going to do 20 plus at first, taking the same information you guys saw me use from noted. I'm not going to bump these up even to 25 plus yet. I want to see the other options and see what's going on. So this is pretty expensive. This is, as you can see, it's listed for 13 days. I actually think these are really overpriced. It is a calm Altaria with the same strat as you see on mine. Calm Altaria, EV trained the same way. It has Roost. It is missing the Cotton Guard, but that can be easily put onto it. Now, this seems a lot more accurate, but even then, pretty good. So these are obviously way better than my Altaria, so this is going to be a tough price check. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and remove the lowest IV and essentially the least important IV from this price check. So I'm actually going to take away the 20 plus speed IV because speed, even though it's important on Altaria, it has a base 80 speed. It's not the most important speed tier and it's the least important stat on the Pokemon. So I want to check what other options we have on the GTL and get a more accurate price check. So this is a pretty comparable Altaria, as you can see. Lax Nature is much worse than mine. This is a much worse version of my Altaria, but it's at least semi-comparable, so it's important to go ahead and see this. The attack EVs, that's definitely janked up. It is level 100 though. Let's go ahead and check this one. So this one's Bold Nature, level 50, as we can see, 31 HP, 31 defense. This is a pretty fantastic Altaria, trained 252 defense, 252 HP. Interesting, so just a straight up physical wall. Now, this is probably going to be our best comparison. This is probably going to be our best price check. Once again, this is going to be a very realistic price check because this is going to be a judgment call. I will say, as a typical rule of thumb, this is going to be a pretty big range, but I will say that most semi-competitive Pokemon will go anywhere between 50 to around, usually 50 to 100k, but maybe 50 to 120k is also fair. Usually within that range is pretty fair. So 50 to 120k is what you're looking in the ballpark of for a semi-competitive Pokemon. Alright, so I think based off of all of this information, I think personally, I would go ahead and feel comfortable listing this Altaria up for around 100 to 120k. I think I'd probably go 120k, but if I were being honest, if I sold this for 120k, I don't know if it would sell. So if it didn't, I honestly think it might not. So if it didn't, I'd probably just go ahead and lower the price to 100k, and I feel very confident that at 100k, it would sell within a reasonable amount of time. And I think that's pretty much it. That pretty much covers this Altaria, and that pretty much covers semi-competitive Pokemon. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. It's time to cover competitive Pokemon. So the difference between semi-competitive Pokemon and competitive Pokemon is that competitive Pokemon have those crucial 31 IVs. So for example, having 31 speed on Ambipom is super important, especially with the correct nature being Jolly. So having 31 speed, Jolly nature, super important on Ambipom because against other Ambipom, you're not going to be wanting to lose that speed tie. You need to speed tie and at least have a chance at being able to get your fake out off first. It's super important in competitive play. So understanding that a competitive Pokemon has those crucial 31 IVs in the spots required, well, at least 2 times 31 usually. Sometimes on Pokemon like Walls, like Umbreon, you'll be at least 3 times 31, 31 HP, 31 defense, 31 special defense, similar to Blissey or Chansey. And then sometimes you'll obviously see 4 or 5 times 31 Pokemon. I don't think those are personally needed. I would call a serious competitive Pokemon 31 IVs in the really crucial important IVs, and then 25 plus in the other IVs needed. Now obviously 25 special attack is not needed here. This is also a PvP reward Pokemon, so please keep that in mind. This is actually PvP reward Pokemon cannot be traded and cannot be bred, but I thought these IVs in this nature and everything about this Pokemon is just the perfect example for competitive Pokemon. So obviously I won't be selling this Pokemon because it physically cannot be sold, but it's just a really perfect example for this video. So let's go ahead and get into the price check. So this is going to be really specific. Now, a competitive Pokemon, gender is not going to matter much because usually people aren't going to be rebreeding these. They're going to be buying them to straight up use and jump into competitive play. So what if we were to do this? 31 attack, 31 speed. Let's bring the nature to Jolly. The nature is going to be super important. Sort by lowest price, and as you can see, the cheapest Ambipom, this is 5 times 31, so obviously not comparable. So let's go ahead and bring down these stats to 20 plus and see what we can get. 240k, looking pretty promising. So this is a mostly promising, a pretty solid Ambipom. This is fantastic. Now, obviously, he has 31 HP over me, so that is something important to note. But you know what? I could see myself selling this Ambipom right here for around 200k. Based on the price of this thing, I would essentially, knock mine down slightly because of that 31 HP, as well as, mine have 1 IV higher in defense and special defense, but it shouldn't matter too much. Very similar move pool, just the one difference there. EV trained, same nature, Jolly nature. Yeah, pretty fantastic price check. This is a super easy one. Ambipom is a very desired Pokemon, a pretty, needed competitive Pokemon. So, you know what? I could see myself listing this for 200k very easily, very confidently. But yeah, that was a pretty easy price check to go ahead and wrap things up with. I hopefully answered all of your guys' questions today in this video. If you have more, please let me know in the comments down below or in my Discord under the price checking channel. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please make sure to click that like button. It really helps me out a ton, and subscribe for daily PokeMMO content if you want to see that sort of thing. Make sure to check out my Discord linked down below for the price checking channel and any sort of information you might want on PokeMMO. And then finally, if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, if you want to allow me to keep making content full-time for this beautiful game, consider becoming a YouTube member for $5 a month, dropping a Twitch Prime or a Twitch sub over on my Twitch, or hitting up my Patreon, Venmo, or PayPal, links down below. PayPal and Venmo are the best way to support me because they take less of your guys' money away from you and give more to me. So anyways, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time. Hopefully this was helpful, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I wish you the best of luck in your PokeMMO journeys. Yo, I'm Patrouski, and first things first, I wanted to say thank you so much for watching the entire video. Now, this end slide is used to say thank you so much to all of my YouTube members, Patreons, and Twitch subscribers who go above and beyond and allow me to make content like this every single day. So, seriously, thank you guys so much. Have a good one.